everybody. This is my 1978 Sears Gamefisher, 15 horsepower. This is my project motor. It has a modified ignition system. It's really sweet and I got it running. However, it did have carb float problems. The float on these carburetors are rubber, so it wasn't sealing good. I replaced that today and set the float, so that should be good. And I just replaced the spark plug. I'm praying that I didn't mess up any of my wiring down here, loosen anything, or hopefully not switch the spark plug coils around. But it's got new plugs, and I worked on the carburetor. And hopefully I didn't ruin something. I can't run it right now because it's currently 10:20, and I live in a very peaceful neighborhood. So, anyways, the point of this video is I'm gonna be replacing the water pump in this thing. I believe it is the original water pump. When I turn the flywheel, you can kind of hear. I don't know if that's audible, but just rubber sounds, and it's kind of funny. I'm guessing it's the original from 1978 water pump. I'm not certain, but it was peeing a fairly strong stream of pee. These engines pee. I believe it's right here in this inconspicuous hole. Sorry if it's not visible, that hole. Which is pretty unique. Pretty cool for an engine of this build quality and age. Here's the water pump, and it is tiny. To put it in perspective, here is a water pump impeller for, which is not the biggest one ever, for my Sea King 15 or Force engines. They use this size water pump, and it's probably average size, but next to each other, this thing is tiny. I've never replaced a water pump on this. This is my first Eska Gamefisher outboard. I've worked on probably 6 or so outboards, or 10. So I'm gonna attack this how I believe it should go. It doesn't, from what I've heard, it's not much different than a typical outboard. First things first is we got this. I got my budget tripod. I think what we want to do is open up this door right here to expose the shift linkage, and then we should be able to drop the lower unit. Oh, let me unlock the tilt. I'll be using the shallow water drive, which is right here. I think that should be sufficient. I don't want this thing all the way up in the air. Start with a flathead screwdriver. I wonder if this thing's ever been opened. So I bought this engine in December. It is currently March 17th, I think. I bought it in December for $5. The seller wanted $25, but it's been sitting for 3 months and nobody seemed to want it. So I came in and said, $5. It was seized as per the listing, and it was seized pretty decently, but all I had to do was remove the plugs, pour some trans fluid, a lot, and PB blast, and let it soak for an hour, and then grab a wrench onto the flywheel bolt, and then jiggle it quickly back and forth. I wasn't applying like a constant force to it because I didn't want to break anything. But just jiggling it like that, and then letting it soak and jiggling it again with a little more force each time, broke it free. It seems to be a very low hour motor. They came with auto light spark plugs, which seem to be the right ones for it. I'm not sure if it's the original. Their black spark plugs are a little rusted, but it ran pretty well. Is this the one? Is it tiny? Oh, that looks like it. All right. It looks like it's in a slot, so I'm gonna pay attention how it is. Ooh, it's about to fall in. There we go. Let's get a nice view of what it looks like in there. All right. So from what I could see, there's a bolt right here, and then there's a bolt right here. They appear to be, this one seems like a smaller one than this one. That one might be a 7/16 or a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna run over to get some wrenches. Organizing his tools. 3/8. There we go. It's on loosened too. Okay. I did everything on. I did the gear oil. Not everything. I did the gear oil, and the old stuff, it was smelly and black, but it looked pretty good. No signs of water intrusion, no brown colors, anything at all. Just dark, dirty oil. Smelly gear oil. Okay. Now that is removed. Hardware on the floor right here. Now let's get that 1/2 inch. We're gonna need the open side up. I might be tightening it. Let me think. No, this is loosening it. Yeah. So after this, it should be just drop out. Okay. Let's give it a little love hit. Yep. This is a freshwater engine. I am located in Northern California. Or it could have seen salt. Possibly. Because I'm not only about an hour and a half away from San Francisco. Ooh. What do we got there? The water housing. Okay. I'm not sure that's supposed to do that, but here we are. I'll tilt the motor on maximum trim and use this light that I have mounted to my head. Trim. Okay. Let's see. What do we got? I see the drive shaft housing, and I see the water pump piping. Interesting how it just fell out. The housing goes behind the drive shaft. So let me see if I can get this to sit in there. That is a little concerning. Okay, it's sitting in there. It doesn't just stay. Oh, there it is. Make extra sure that that goes into the water pump housing when I install it back in. Some engines, like the Chrysler Sea King, the water pump inlet is rigid, so it doesn't wiggle around, so you could just shove the lower unit back in it and it'll line up. But on the old Evinrudes, and this one it seems, we just got 2 screws on here. Hopefully that's visible. And water's coming out of it. 2 big flathead screwdrivers. Yeah. As I could see, no rust. Screws are coming out fairly easily. The water pump, the housing seal looks very good. I guess I can hold it up in front of the cam. But I mean, this is what it looks like. Just taking these 2 screws out. Oh, it's almost out. So let's see if we have a Woodruff key. All right, right here. Ooh. We have a tiny key. It's just a circular shaft one. Hopefully that's visible. My light's not blinding. It's not a rectangular shape. Here it comes. The old water pump. It actually looks pretty good. But this could be the unit from 1978. That wouldn't be good. Let me take it out in front of the camera. Oh, yeah, the veins. Let's rip open the new one to compare. Oh, the tear thing right here. New and old. Quality-wise, seem to be pretty similar. The original one, it feels a little heavier. I do have to say the quality of this old one does seem pretty good. I wouldn't say better than this, but it looks like it would have held up for a little bit. And it peed a strong stream of water. So probably could have ran it for a little while. Obviously you don't want to do that, especially when the job is this easy to do. The new one. So I'm liking it so far. Just like any normal outboard, most outboards. Just place the key right there. The water pump can go on. Like that. Can I get it in? Oh, I dropped it. Okay, let's see. Try that again. Maybe it would help if I held it sideways. Just like that. Keyhole is right here. Oh, I see what's happening. The key is being pressed and bent. as I'm pushing it in. Let me put it down and try to use a screwdriver to hold it in. This is not going to be the easiest one I've done. So probably not the best design, but it works, it works. Let me try to hold the bottom so it doesn't slide around with my screwdriver. I think what I could do might be a little overboard, just to be sure I can get like a socket. Will this fit? Yes. Okay, that works. I don't think that's going anywhere. Is it in gear? It's not in gear. Flywheels always turn clockwise. Now some people like to add grease, or not grease, you don't want to use grease. Petroleum jelly or soap, but it doesn't matter too much. And you're always gonna really run it in the water. Now I have to remember what orientation this thing went in. The water pump housing goes behind the drive shaft. Especially with doing this part with a larger impeller like this, the drive shaft will be harder to turn, but since this one is really tiny, I could just spin it by hand. Really easy. So you want to turn drive shaft clockwise. And then there, our water pump is installed. Get our long screws. What am I doing? That was the wrong one. This thing was pretty tight. I got it off, so. It seems that there's a bit of a gasket material on the base. Or maybe not. Anyways, it looks like it doesn't need to be replaced for a normal water pump routine maintenance deal. I give the screw a ride. There it is. Okay, I'll just screw it till it seats, just like so. Then I'll do the back. Then I'll snug it up. You don't want to torque one side way more than the other because there's only 2 screws holding this housing in, and you want to avoid any warpage. You want to create a good seal, but you're not trying to break the screw heads. As tight as you can get it without breaking it. And these screws kind of look widened. Not sure if it's been replaced before. That impeller didn't look too unhealthy. Here we go. Overall, not bad. Really easy to do. Now we just gotta reinstall the unit. That chair almost tipped on me. Okay. Now we want to make extra sure that we line up our water pump, because with the housing, kind of put your finger, you could look at it through the shift shaft. I'm gonna need something to help guide it. Screwdriver, perhaps. It's probably gonna have to be an off-camera type deal.